September 11th, 2001, and January 6th, 2021.
Newsflash, nobody gives a fuck about it. We all admit that shit was pretty dumb, but that's about it. When we saw the news, we were shocked and we were kind of tense. Like, damn. Then we forgot about it by the 10th. Nobody's walking around stressing over Jan 6. It happened and that was it. We haven't gave a damn since. It's all good when riots are kept in the hood, but now you're freaking out cause this was in the neck of your woods. Now it's a big deal. Now it gets real. Now it's important to us. Not back then in 2020 when stores were boarded up. Not back then when goods were looted and folks were brutalized. Not then, but right now, cause it happened to the suit and ties. That shit's way above my head. We were fucking shit up all year with demonstrations that left dozens dead. But people like Nancy didn't flinch, in fact they loved it then. People will do what they do, bitch, ain't that what you said? Yep. There's literally compilation videos of you and all your colleagues inciting this kind of crap. So it's very fascinating to watch you swallow your words. You put your own foot in your mouth and now you're forced to dial it back. It's fine when you encourage it in my town, in his town, in her town, when the whole fucking city's being burnt down. You smile as you give the green light for mobs to rob shit, but as soon as it comes close to you, then it's a problem. Got it.
What is this parasitic mind that we have developed here in the West?
So I've been now a professor. I'm going into my 31st year. There are many wonderful things in the university setting, but I very quickly noticed that some of the supposedly brightest people on earth, they're called professors, can come up with some of the dumbest and most insane ideas, because all of those parasitic ideas, postmodernism, cultural relativism, radical feminism, social constructivism, were all spawned on university campuses. So why? What's so alluring about these ideas? So I use the parasitic framework for one important reason. So let me give you a specific example. The wood cricket is a cricket that abhors water. When it is parasitized by a hairworm, the hairworm needs the wood cricket to jump in water for it to complete its reproductive cycle. So it will alter the circuitry of the wood cricket, which historically would abhor going into water. It will now merrily jump into the water to its death in the service of the parasite. And so I had my eureka moment. I would use a neuroparasitological framework to argue that human beings can not only be parasitized by actual physical brainworms, they could be parasitized by ideological brainworms, hence the idea in the parasitic mind.
I mean, like, I don't know what you have to hide, because we lying, according to y'all. We lying. So prove us to be liars. I will sit here and I will be the first one to say, I apologize. So let's go ahead and do it. Will you do that?
I find it rich that the other side of the aisle is suddenly concerned about corruption and ethics. Whenever President Biden just gave his son a 10-year blanket pardon for foreign influence peddling and whatever else he was doing while high on whatever drugs with whatever prostitutes. I also find it rich that all of a sudden the other side has some problem with successful businessmen being involved in politics whenever you guys are the party of George Soros, of Bill and Melinda Gates, of Sheryl Sandberg, of Mackenzie Bezos, of Taylor Swift, of so many other billionaires across the country, as well as every woke, weird pervert in Hollywood. I find this incredibly disingenuous. I think the reality is that the Republican Party under President Trump has a very clear mandate from voters, and you guys don't like it because voters rejected everything you stand for and every policy that you've shoved down the American people's throats over the past 4 years, whether it's open borders, a failing economy, raging inflation, this weird woke stuff that you guys have been shoving down our children's throats, and the voters rejected you and they welcomed our party. So with that, I yield my time, but I find this conversation incredibly rich from the other side.
Remember I was talking about the measles?
Yeah.
Oh, what now, Whoopi?
Because there is a growing measles outbreak in Texas.
Is there?
Just claimed the life of a school-aged kid who had not been vaccinated. It
Hysteria rule number 1, unvaccinated.
is the first measles-related death in a decade.
Nope, that's not true. But before I debunk you with the facts, I want to hear what else you got.
Because they eradicated it.
Not true again, but let's keep going.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. insists there's no cause for alarm.
Are following the measles epidemic every day. I think there's 124.
Point of clarity, it's 164.
It's not unusual. We have measles outbreaks every year.
Actually, it is unusual.
Actually, it's not, so let's walk through the timeline. I don't love the CDC data, but Whoopi, I know you do, so let's use your data. In 1912, the measles became a nationally notifiable disease in the United States. An average of 6,000 related measles deaths happened every year. It is estimated that an average of 3 to 4 million people were infected by the measles every year. Then a vaccine became available in 1963. Per the CDC, the peak season for measles is late winter, early spring. We're right in the middle of it. So far this year, in 2025, we've had 164 cases, 20% hospitalization, and 1 death. Let's go through a few more years in the last 15 years to give us some context. In 2024, we had 285 cases, 40% hospitalization, and 0 deaths. In 2019, we had 1,274. 2018, we had 381. In 2015, we had 159. In the past 15 years, we've had 7 years that have a higher outbreak than this year.
Because it was eradicated.
Yeah.
You are not giving out the proper information.
Actually, he is, and I'll tell you why. In 2020, the measles were declared eliminated from the United States. If you continue to read through the data on the CDC website, that just means an absence of continuous spread for greater than 12 months. There were still 13 reported cases. Whoopi, let's use our brains for just a second. What else happened in 2020 that you can think of that maybe would have stopped the spread of diseases? Oh, that's right, COVID, where people were completely dehumanized. Kids couldn't play together and they weren't in school. People weren't allowed to go to concerts or go to social events. We were forced to be away from one another.
This is your job, dude. People are going to die if they believe what you're saying and they don't check.
And that's how you debunk liberal hysteria.
If your daughter doesn't want to compete against trans women in sports, maybe your daughter just shouldn't play sports. Ever thought about that? Maybe she just doesn't have that competitive spirit. Maybe she's just mediocre. Maybe she's not that good.
Wow, really? These be the same people that walk around screaming, down with the patriarchy. We're tired of men dominating all things women. This video isn't very pro-woman. As a matter of fact, it's anti-woman. You're willing to demean women and girls because you want men in their sports. Need you to think about this. Maybe, just maybe, it's not that the women and girls who want men out of their sports suck or are mediocre. Maybe, just maybe, they're tired of getting injured. They're tired of getting concussed. They're tired of putting their blood, sweat, and tears into something, dedicating their life to it, and when the opportunity comes to showcase that, it gets stolen from them. All because there are people who refuse to accept that there is a biological difference between a man and a woman. Man, I feel like I'm more pro-woman than the so-called feminist. You can't be the party of science while at the same time denying that there is a biological difference between men and women. Let's keep women and girls sports for women and girls.
I'm sure all of us saw there were a few protesters outside, and I can't be the only person wondering, it's a little after noon on a Friday, and don't you all have jobs? Who are the people? And I think that's one of the reasons why we've got to rebuild American manufacturing and support great companies like Vantage Plastics, because we want those people to get off the streets and back to work. It'd be good for them, and it'd be good for everybody else, too.
He said Vantage Plastics. I had to write that down. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever this video finds you, welcome to Tix. What's going on, Jibba? What's going on, Audric, if you're still around? I know I've been doing these long intros. I don't know if y'all like them or not, but, I'm trying to give people enough time to come in, add a little flair, little touch of today's topic or tonight's topic, however you want to look at it. And what do y'all think about the preloaded videos that I've been doing with the AI? Yeah, what do y'all think about the AI videos I've been doing? Where I'm in the tie and everything. I don't know if y'all have seen them, but basically what I'm doing is I'm just taking the news stories and copy pasting and having my AI self read them out. So that way I'm just doing quick stories. I don't have to go live. I don't have to sit here and record. Just copy paste, upload it, let it run. And then now I'm posting the source because somebody asked me for the source, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, like what am I doing? I keep forgetting to do that. So that's what I'm doing. What's up, No News? So let's get into it. Let's start off with something good before we get into the bad, all right? So let's go.
Georgia family says their 13-year-old son has just been accepted into more than 20 colleges. Joshua Sudith from Conyers has a high school GPA of 4.17 right now, and he's already been accepted into colleges like Morehouse, Shaw University, and Tennessee State University. Outside of school, Joshua enjoys building robots and playing basketball. We are sending him a very big congratulations. Quite the accomplishment.
Really? Yeah, it's good for him.
Whoops. Let's give the young man a hand. Give the young brother a hand. Congratulations, young blood. That's very man, didn't realize that's AI. Oh wow. That means it's good. But yeah, let's give the young black man a good hand, big hand. I'm happy for him. I'm glad that he's doing the thing. But you say like everyone else on overload trying to survive. I guess. All right, so let's get into it. So President Trump signed executive order on Department of Education. This was yesterday because I took a break. I would never leave this computer between what I would say 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. if I did shows every night. Sometimes I need to recuperate and breathe and deal with stuff later. But let's get into it. I like how he does the whole show. He's got the kids here. Remember when he signed kicking men out of women's sports? He had all the female athletes around him. So now with this, he's got all the little kids around him. Yeah, because presentation is everything. One thing Trump learned by doing television is presentation is everything. We just lost one aspiring rapper.
The President of the United States.
I'd like to start by saying that our country is doing very well. Things are, as you can see, doing quite well. Please sit down. Before we begin, I just want to announce that I signed a proclamation a few moments ago honoring the 250th anniversary of Patrick Henry's famous speech to the Second Virginia Convention, in which he declared very well-known, very famous words, "Give me liberty or give me death." Has anyone heard the phrase? I think most of you have. And moments ago, I also signed an executive order to dramatically increase production of critical minerals and rare earths. It's a big thing in this country. And as you know, we're also signing agreements in various locations to unlock rare earths and minerals and lots of other things all over the world. But in particular, Ukraine, we're doing very well with regard to Ukraine and Russia. And one of the things we are doing is signing a deal very shortly with respect to rare earths with Ukraine, which they have tremendous value in rare earth, and we appreciate that.
This is what we're going to be talking about Sunday on the Money Show. Like, what are these minerals and earths that he's talking about that are now going to flood this country? Like, because that's where your money is as far as stock. What companies are going to be involved in that? Because this is where you make your money.
And we spoke yesterday with, as you know, President Putin and President Zelensky, and we would love to see that come to an end. And I think we're doing pretty well in that regard. So hopefully we can save thousands of people a week from dying. That's what it's all about. They're dying so unnecessarily. And I believe we'll get it done. We'll see what happens, but I believe we'll get it done. Today we take a very historic action that was 45 years in the making. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all. And it sounds strange, doesn't it? Department of Education, we're going to eliminate it. And everybody knows it's right. And the Democrats know it's right, and I hope they're going to be voting for it because ultimately it may come before them, but everybody knows it's right, and we have to get our children educated. We're not doing well with the world of education in this country, and we haven't for a long time. And we're pleased to be joined today by the woman.
Because it affects them immediately. You know, they're still in school. I get it. They're little kids. It's probably over their heads. I get you. But yeah, I mean, think about it. It affects them immediately.
Who I chose because she's an extraordinary person. And hopefully she will be our last Secretary of Education. Man, Linda. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's another interesting statement. It's an interesting opening, right? But it's true, and it's been amazing how popular this has been. I tell people that this is what I'm doing today, and they say, "Oh, it's about time." Everybody says it. Republicans and Democrats have said it, and they're all saying it. Also with us are some terrific people. Governors Greg Abbott.
Yep.
Greg, thank you very much.
100% especially.
Governor Ron DeSantis, thank you very much, Ron.
Hey, Ronnie.
Mike Braun, congratulations on your victory, Mike. That was a big one.
Oh, there we go.
Mike DeWine, thank you very much, Mike. Jeff Landry. Jeff, thank you very much, Jeff. Bill Lee, thank you. Governors, all governors. Brad Little. Brad, thank you very much. Where are you, Brad? Hi, Brad. Jim Pilan. Thank you very much, Jim. And Kim Reynolds. These are all people very interested in education. And I even see Dan Patrick over there, my friend Dan Patrick. We're joined also by Representatives Tim Walberg and Virginia Fox, Rick Allen, Michael Rulli. And again, Dan Patrick, thank you very much, Dan. You've been a great friend of ours. And State Attorneys General Ken Paxton. Ken, I see you there. Andrew Bailey. Andrew, what a job you've done, Andrew. You have some good cases going. You've done a great job. Thank you very much. And co-founder of Moms for Liberty, Tiffany Justice. She's been a hard worker. Thank you, Tiffany. When President Carter created the Federal Education Department in 1979, it was opposed by members of his own cabinet, as well as the American Federation of Teachers, the New York Times editorial board, and the famed Democrat Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. History has proven them right, absolutely right. After 45 years, the United States spends more money on education by far than any other country, and spends likewise by far more money per pupil than any country, and it's not even close. But yet we rank near the bottom of the list in terms of success. It's an amazing stat. Those are two stats you don't want. The most money spent, and you're at the bottom of the list. And that's where we are, like it or not. And we've been there for a long time. 70% of eighth graders are not proficient in either reading or in math. 70%. 40% of fourth graders lack even basic reading skills, can't read. Students in our public elementary and middle schools score worse in reading today than when the department opened by a lot. In Baltimore, 40% of the high schools have 0 students who can do basic mathematics. Not even the very simplest of mathematics. I said, give me your definition of basic, and they're talking about like adding a few numbers together. Despite these breathtaking failures, the department's discretionary budget has exploded by 600% in a very short period of time, and it employs bureaucrats in buildings all over Washington, D.C. And as a former real estate person, I will tell you, I ride through the streets of Washington and it says Department of Education, Department of Education. I said, how do you fill those buildings? It's crazy what's happened over the years. I'm pleased to report that after offering these federal employees 2 generous buyout options, and they were very generous, and they're good people, but they were very generous. My administration has initiated a reduction in force, and we're already cutting numbers that were really surprising to a lot that we were able to do it so successfully. And we've cut the number of bureaucrats in half. 50% have taken office, which is great. Thank you. Under the action I'm taking today, a small handful of Democrats and others that we have employed for a long time, and there's some Republicans, but not too many, I have to be honest with you. But the department's useful functions, and such as, and they're in charge of them, Pell Grants, Title I funding, resources for children with disabilities and special needs will be preserved, fully preserved. They're all going to be so. If you look at the Pell Grants, it's supposed to be a very good program, Title I funding and resources for children with special disabilities and special needs. They're going to be preserved in full and redistributed to various other agencies and departments that will take very good care of them. And it's very important to Linda, I know, and it's very important to all of us. But beyond these core necessities, my administration will take all lawful steps to shut down the department. We're going to shut it down and shut it down as quickly as possible. It's doing us no good. We want to return our students to the states where just some of the governors here are so happy about this. They want education to come back to them, to come back to the states, and they're going to do a phenomenal job. You know, if you look.
Let me ask the question. We'll take a quick break from it. You said, what's going to improve schools, K through 12 education? Well, here's the thing. Under the Biden administration, they mandated that they teach your son how to have anal sex, be it giving or receiving from another male or with another male. They taught your daughters how to eat the taco. All right. They started that in elementary school. Let me explain to you. This is what the Biden administration mandated. Either you teach this pedophile garbage to children, and then you had counselors coming to the schools when in junior high and high schools. Normally, that's the reason why they did that from kindergarten to 3rd grade, because that's when the imprinting begins for a child. Any psychologist will tell you from up until a child is 8 till they're 8 years old, what you immediately imprint on them sticks with them forever. All right, it sticks with them forever. So when you put pedophile books like Little Boy Blue and all of those things into the school system, and you have these trans and gay extremist teachers teaching them this stuff, rainbow flags all over the place, putting little boys in dresses when, you know, telling them not to tell their parents. And then when they get to junior high school, and they start going through puberty, and I mean, everybody goes through puberty. Your body feels funny. You have literal growing pains. And you have guidance counselors who are telling these children, especially those who are of single parents, most particularly female-led homes, that they're born in the wrong body. And then they start fast-tracking them onto puberty blockers, which sterilizes the children, and fast-track them to get surgery, to have their breasts removed or their penises removed, and have them on hormones or was it hormones? Not pheromones, but testosterone, and I forget the other ones. But you're trying to get them. You're trying to sexually destroy these children. Why you think you have drag shows and everything? You're normalizing them to sexual degeneracy. The Department of Education under Biden told these school systems, if you don't do this, we're going to cut off your funding. So it was a mandate. It was a mandate. I also add resegregation would help improve test scores like after the Civil War. There are black and female teachers, not the majority, but they exist. Jibba jabba. Word EV, that part, the imprinting of fifth. Yeah, and the parent doesn't approve, they are prosecuted. Yeah, if the parent doesn't approve, especially out in California, they consider that child abuse. They'll take your child away from you and throw you in jail. Like, how crazy is that? I did this story last year about this little white girl. She's about 15 years old, and she was running around claiming to be trans, right? So the school was trying to force her to use the boys' bathroom, but it's high school. The high school boys, like, you come in here, you know, we're going to give you some, you know, some DICK. Clearly that's what you want. So she was scared. So she refused to use the boys' bathroom. And she was too scared to tell her parents because the school had brainwashed her into telling her that if she tells her parents, which was really her aunt and her grandmother, all right, if she told them that they would ostracize her and kick her out of the house. So the teacher had a getaway bag for her stashed away in her closet. So when the little girl had so much pressure, she couldn't take it because she believed in what the teachers are saying to her, the teachers and the counselors. The teacher gave her the runaway bag, and the girl ran away. Matter of fact, the teacher told her who to go to. So the girl went to this dude, and the dude wound up pimping her out at 15 years old. She was a virgin. He wound up sex trafficking her across state lines. She got arrested, brought back, and before the judge, the parent, you know, the parents, quote unquote, hey, Sage. And the court was like, well, that's her dead name. You're child abusers. So they threw her back into the system and was fast tracking her to having her breasts removed against her will. She was wound up turning into another guy, her all the way down to Texas, where she got arrested again. Okay, this time the Texas, they returned the girl to her rightful parents. All this trauma this girl went through, and you know what she said in the end? Why she claimed to be trans? Because she just wanted to make friends. She just wanted friends. Everybody involved in that should have went to jail. They should have went to jail. But as far as how you're going to improve the school system, the education system, because now, just like with abortion, it's now in the state's hands. And with the school system, it is 100% in the parents' hands. Let the parents vote on what they want their kids to learn, how much money needs to be allocated, what goes on in these school systems. I mean, you talk about, you're looking at a lot of states, if they're smart, they're going to return back to home ec classes. They're going to return to computer classes. They're going to return to blue collar jobs like auto repair, HVAC, things like that. Things that'll prepare these kids for life. So when they come out of high school, they can probably get a job right out of high school and won't even have to go to college. They can get an apprenticeship while still in high school. All right. All of this stuff. I mean, it's so, you can do so much when the federal government isn't mandating what you need to learn in order to get your little money. Like, let your tax dollars pay for what you want your kids to learn, not the federal government.
Denmark, Norway, Sweden. I have to tell you, I give them a lot of credit. China's top 10. And so we can't now say that bigness is making it impossible to educate, because China is very big. But you have countries that do a very good job in education. And I really believe, like some of the governors here today, from states that run very, very well, including a big state like Texas, but states that run very well are going to have education that will be as good as Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and those top, Finland, those top countries that do so well with education. I think they'll do every bit as well. And what do you think about that, Governor? Do you agree? I think so. Ron, do you agree? I think so. Florida?
Yeah, because Ron, he did that.
That's right. I really believe that. They'll be as good as any of them. And then you'll have...
Y'all remember that when Ron DeSantis pulled all the books from the schools? He pulled all the books because he went through, he had the people go through all the books to take all of that pedophile stuff out. All that wild stuff, like critical race theory. Critical race theory was, I mean, it wasn't what you thought it was. Sure, did they teach about slavery and all of that stuff? Yes, but it was radicalized to make black students hate white people. Now, I get it. We live in a country built and founded on racism. But let me tell you something. You run around being radicalized to hate white folks is getting you nowhere. Because if it really came down to it, if you call yourself wanting to go toe-to-toe with the white folks in this country, you would lose within less than a month. You would be wiped out. You don't make guns, you don't make bullets, you don't make bombs, you don't make planes, you don't make tanks, you don't make nothing. They do. The Spook Who Sat by the Door was a good fantasy movie, but it is not reality. You would get slaughtered. Just like these Democrats running around here vandalizing Teslas. You're so anti Second Amendment. You run around with your little 9mm. These guys are running around with MP5s and AR-15s with night vision. You ain't got none of that. You only have a flak jacket. What your little pop gun gonna do? You know, I mean, you have to really look at it from a military standpoint. Like, your best bet really is to be strategic in how you move in this society. If all you do every time you cut on a video or whatnot is you screaming racism day in, day out, I mean, in all honesty, there's some real low IQ crap, to be honest. To be doing it every day, that's low IQ. You probably run into maybe one or two white people all day that you don't work with. You know what I'm saying? I guess they racist because they white. Well, then as a black person, I guess you must steal and kill them because you black. Like, I mean, you got to elevate your thinking. I'm not saying that not all white people are that all white people are not racist or anything like that. I'm not saying that. You always supposed to stand 10 toes down, but that crap right there cannot dominate your thoughts. All it does is causes stress, and it'll lead you to an early grave. You'll be running around here looking like Angela Rye and Al Sharpton. You know, you out here the male version of Sonny Holston. Like, come on, at some point you have to mature and grow up and be more about your money than worried about who don't like you. Why do you even care? Why do you even care? Because somebody don't like you. Is that taking food off your table? Some dude at the gas station, he don't like you. What? I'm sorry, did he just steal $20 out your pocket because he don't like you? Can you still buy your groceries? Can you still pump your gas? Can you still go to work? Can you still go to sleep? Can you still make love to your girlfriend? Can you still watch TV? Can you still whistle a jaunty tune? then why is you worried? I don't like you. Is that killing you? I mean, I'm just saying. You know, I mean, it's 2025. Police brutality is a thing of the past, which was our biggest complaint. I give F all about whether my neighbor across the street don't like me or not, or the neighbor next door. I had one neighbor next door, black dude with a family. This fool tore down one of my tents and tried to kick down the other one in my backyard. Black dude that I gave 2 big bushels of collard greens to for Thanksgiving. My mother said, buy 3 bushels. I literally bought 3 bushels. But she was like, this too much. So I had 2 left over. I gave them to him. Tried to talk sports with him and everything. Invited him to the Super Bowl cookout and everything. Never showed up. But next thing I know, he tore down the tent on the upper patio and tried to knock the one on the ground, tried to kick it over. Did nothing to him. Black dude. I've had more black people do BS than any white person ever. Like, so why am I worried about whether or not a white person wants to give me a pat on the head or not?
Some laggards, and we'll work with them. And we can all tell you who the laggards will be right now, probably, but let's not get into that. But we'll work with them, and we're going to make them, they'll do a job. I think they'll do a job, and they'll go to sections of the state. For instance, New York, you'll have a Manhattan, and you'll have a Suffolk County, and you'll have a Nassau County, and you'll have Westchester County. You'll do 4 or 5 or 6 of them. You have upstate New York, and those counties, I think, are going to do very well. And I think ultimately Manhattan should do very well. But we'll break it down into sections, and I think it'll be really, really good. And they're going to be probably the tougher ones, but I think they have a chance to do really well. But we're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs. And this is a very popular thing to do, but much more importantly, it's a common sense thing to do, and it's going to work. Absolutely, it's going to work. And I can tell you from dealing with the governors and others in the state, they want it so badly. They want to take their children back and really teach their children individually. Probably the cost will be half, and the education will be maybe many, many times better. So we look forward to this. I want to just make one little personal statement. Teachers, to me, are among the most important people in this country, and we're going to take care of our teachers. And I don't care if they're in the union or not in the union. That doesn't matter.
Yeah,
we're going to take care of our teachers, and I believe the states will take actually better care of them than they are taken care of right now. They'll work all sorts of systems and even merit systems. Those great teachers are going to be maybe a little bit better rewarded, or maybe that's the way it should be, but the states are going to make that decision. But we're going to love and cherish our teachers along with our children, and they're going to work with the parents, and they're going to work with everybody else, and it's going to be an amazing thing to watch, and it's really going to be something special. And Linda, you're presiding over something that's so important, and you're going to do a fantastic job, just like you have your whole life. I know your whole life I've been watching you. I've been watching you for a long time. She's had nothing but success. So it's tremendous to have you, and hopefully you won't be there too long, but we're going to find something else for you, Linda, okay? So this will conclude what we are talking about with respect to our most cherished group of people, and that's our children. We want to have our children well educated. We want them to love going to school. We have examples of it. Look at those beautiful, bright-eyed faces. They are so smart. They're so smart. And with that, I'm going to come down, and we're going to sign a very important document, and we're going to be on our way. People have wanted to do this for many, many years, for many, many decades. And I don't know, no president ever got around to doing it, but I'm getting around to doing it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, because I think Ronald Reagan, he wanted to do it, but he didn't have the vote. But he's not cutting everything. Like, you know, people with special needs and everything, those are still staying in place. And I believe like the school lunch program and everything for underprivileged people in school, that's still moving through the state. So it's not cutting everything over to the state. They are going to still handle some things, but not the majority of everything.
It was very lucky. I sent another document that turned out to be very good for the country, and I said, let's use that same pen. I don't know.
Come on, y'all. Pick the mic. Pick the mic. Get that shotgun mic working. I've heard the president speak on how the school American superstar. That's funny. It's true, but it's funny. Look, the little kid in the back holding up the P. They all holding up signs. That's cute. Got the kids with the mock declarations. All right, so let's get to the responses.
Good evening. Good evening. It's nice to see all of you today on this beautiful, glorious, sunny evening in Washington, D.C. with the thunder and lightning rolling around
So
us.
Detroit 313. She's had a major facelift.
Obviously, civil rights has opened investigations into anti-Semitism, Title IX violations. What happens to the Office of Civil Rights under this executive order? Will the Office of Civil Rights continue its work investigating schools that violate the law?
Well, certainly the executive order did not specify what happens with any of the departments within education. So we are looking at where best those departments could be located. I mean, the Department of Justice already has a civil rights office, and I think that there is an opportunity to discuss with Attorney General Bondi about locating some of our civil rights work there.
Do you have a comment on the lawsuit being filed by Brandy Weingarten? This is the person who said that she'll only care about students once they start paying union dues. Does she have any standing suing the administration?
Well, I've not had any conversation yet with Brandy Weingarten. I know about a week ago, her comment was the president wanted to take education away from children, which clearly is not the case. He wants to improve education for children. He wants to get those dollars, even more dollars, back to the states without the bureaucracy of Washington. So that's our plan. That's our goal.
Yeah, because up until Jimmy Carter created the Department of Education on the federal level, like we were leading the world, like in the top 5 in education. But then now we plummeted all the way down to like, what, 26, 28th in the world? Like ever since what, the 70s? That's pathetic. This is a first world country. We should have the best educated students in the world. It's ridiculous.
I'd be glad to meet with her and talk to her about that.
Madam Secretary, can you talk about what will happen to some of the employees who are part of the DOE as you kind of shrink the department, ultimately looking to close the department? What will happen to these employees? Have you discussed what the next plan will be for all of these employees?
Well, thank you so much for asking that, because last week we had we did terminate almost half of the Department of Education. We did it thoughtfully. We looked to see where duplication was in the departments. We wanted to make sure that we were cutting fat from the bureaucracy, the inward-facing things, not the outward-facing servicing that we do to students and to states. So we did it very carefully. We wanted to make sure that we complied by the law. But they had those that were terminated will get 3 months of full pay and benefits, and after that under, the rules of the civil service. They also will get severance package, which is very much more generous than it would be in the private sector. And then also there's a accrued sick leave and unused leave that they will also get paid for. So, you'd like to provide as soft an off-ramp as you can, because after all, it's not easy. And I've done it in the private sector too. It's really not easy to terminate people.
You know what? This is what I was saying about what she said about the teachers, the people that got fired. Like, you're getting a severance package plus your sick leave, vacation time, everything, and more than likely you'll be able to keep your health benefits for the next 3 months. If I'm working for the government and I'm hearing, hey, look, I keep saying this. I feel like a broken record every time I come on here. If I'm hearing all of this, I'm meeting with my department head and everything. We're going to get together, have a meeting like, hey, look, if they cut our department because I'm too stupid to answer an email, okay, or I'm too stupid to take the severance. I mean, you're taking the severance package, fine, take the severance. But if you're too stupid to answer an email, I want to know, can we at least get a severance package? Can we at least get that'll hold me over for some months, at least 3 to 7 months, so that way I can look for another job? Can I at least get that? Can we get that? That's what I would be asking. That way I'm not, butt cheeks out, come Friday at 3 p.m. I need to know. I need some assurances, some guarantees, because I got bills to pay. These people, they don't think. They do not think. They just react.
Send education back to the States. Education originally, but it begins in the home with the nuclear family. And the nuclear family in this country has been decimated. We got a fatherless crisis going on in this country. Far too many kids are growing up without a father, and all the statistics show that kids that grow up with a father in the home do far better in education. So I think if we could strengthen our nuclear families again in this country, that would really help the Department of Education or the education in this country.
Well,
did y'all hear what he said? Did y'all hear what he said? He said that it's been proven that children who have a father in the home do way better when it comes to education than those without. Is there a way? I'll let it play again. I don't want to misinterpret what he said. I'm going to let it play again. I'll even put the captions on. Listen to what he's saying. It was a beautiful question.
To terminate people.
Secretary Donald Trump wants to send education back to the States. Education originally, but it begins in the home with the nuclear family. And the nuclear family in this country has been decimated. We got a fatherless crisis going on in this country. Far too many kids are growing up without a father, and all the statistics show that kids that grow up with a father in the home do far better in education. So I think if we could strengthen our nuclear families again in this country, that would really help the Department of Education or the education in this country.
Well, unfortunately, I can't do anything about reestablishing the nuclear family. I would hope that we would see more of that happen, because statistics really do support exactly what you've said. Nuclear families are key. And when you have parental involvement in children's education and how they're growing up, we see those results. And a lot of charter schools around the country actually invite parents to come in, and some of them actually require parents to sign a contract that they're going to support their students when they get home. So the more parent involvement we can have, the better it is for children for many of the things that they're doing, not just education.
You know what? And she can't answer that question. The reporter asked a very beautiful question. Unfortunately, I mean, he asked it to somebody that really, nobody can really answer that except for an economist. Because if you look, sorry, I'm sweating because I got my feet in the foot bath and this sucker's set on almost the highest level. So I know, take the hoodie off like I would, but I got cold air coming through. It don't matter. I'm freezing and sweating at the same time. Any rate, when you look at it, when you look at everything that Trump is doing with the gold card, bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States, especially the auto industry or whatnot. When you look at all of that, you look at how now, like, trust me, before the end of the summer, they're going to be auditing these states. As you see these silly town halls where you talk about, you got these veterans or so-called veterans or whatever getting up lying, saying that their Social Security is getting cut. And the first thing I would ask them, I'd be like, well, what's your name? Like, hold on, stop yelling and screaming at me and let me ask you some questions. What is your name? What is your name? Where did you serve? Okay. When do you normally get your Social? So you collect Social Security, right? You get a check, right? When does your check hit? It hits on the 15th. Did it hit this previous 15th? Yes or no? Yes or no? And if he says no, then come up here. Show me, pull up I know you got a banking app on your phone, right? Pull it up. Pull it up. I want to see your last 3 payments, your last 3 deposits on the 15th from Social Security. Prove to me that you didn't get your check. Prove to me that it's been cut. Just like Charlie Kirk did with the little gay dude talking about some 4 heterosexual white men in MAGA had something they were gonna grape him on campus. Like, yeah, like, prove it to me. Don't yell and scream, prove it. But I digress. With the manufacturing and trucking jobs coming back, trucking, shipping, and also white collar jobs, that's in office jobs because of these gold card citizenships for businesses and everything, so they can avoid paying tariffs. All right, you're not going to be working those jobs making $15 an hour. You might start at the lowest $20 an hour and up. At the lowest, and that might be upstairs in the secretary pool, but downstairs in the shipping in the warehouse, you're not making $20 an hour. You're going to make more than that. Anybody that works a real warehouse job outside of Amazon or FedEx or UPS, I mean, they're robbing their employees blind. But real jobs, real manufacturing jobs, especially with the auto industries, you make grown man money. When they audit these states and they kick all of these people who are stealing money off of Social Security, off of welfare, social programs, when they start, people who are able-bodied, when they start cutting their assistance off, all right? This is why Trump already put it out there back in January. If you have a choice, if you collect child support, the person paying child support can claim the child on the taxes, not you. But if you're not receiving child support, then you can claim the kid on your taxes. He's making them do whole math, okay? Which is more beneficial. I guarantee you before the end of the summer, there's going to be mandatory, when they get to the state and local level, there's going to be mandatory DNA testing. It'll be billed to you via your insurance. Okay? So the argument over, who's going to afford it and everything is coming out of your pocket. It's your baby. So there'll be mandatory DNA testing before the father or the supposed father signs the birth certificate. Because what it is, they're going to clamp down on food stamps, Section 8, welfare. Like, you better find your baby daddy. Maybe you should take him to court for child support to help supplement your income. I think the majority of Black women who get evicted are over the age of 30. From 30, I think it's from what? I think it's from like 44 to like 54. The majority of them get evicted because the benefits run out. The child support and the government benefits run out because the children are now over the age of 18. Why do you think Drea Michelle had a baby at 40-something years old by the young dude? To keep that child support hustle working. Or else you see old dude kicked her out of his house. He had to kick her out of his house. She's sitting up there laid up with another dude's baby trying to live off of him in his house. Like, you better get the hell on. What do you think happened with, the whole basketball wife dude, the Atlanta Falcon player, the white guy that married that 3-time slower? She already had kids. She mooched off of him. She sponged off of him so much that he went bankrupt. Bizarre question. Do you expect McMahon to solve Linda's divorce herself? No, it's fine. It's a good question. It's a good question for us to talk about. Yeah, Sierra and Russell. Eventually, that's going to come to a head. Understand, Russell Wilson is carrying what? Let's see. He had the mansion in Seattle and the mansion in Denver. He's carrying 2 mansions. 2 mansions. The upkeep and the payments. Okay, the mortgages on 2 mansions plus 5 kids. And now he's not even making the vet minimum. Like, his contract expires. I think the money that he's got from Denver, I think it expires next year. Yeah, he's not. I don't even know it. Did he buy a mansion in Pittsburgh like a dummy? Because I'd have told her, stay in Denver or go back to Seattle. Go back to Seattle. Better yet, you work on sell these mansions. Don't come with me. Sell these mansions. Don't come home till you sell these mansions. I'd have put her on that. Work with the real estate agent. This fool taking care of 2 mansions, a place in Pittsburgh. Don't know where he gonna play next year. He's starving. That money runs out. You have no money coming in. Woo. But hopefully with the jobs that's coming in, men, most particularly black men, will be able to make grown man money again from unskilled labor. All right, from unskilled labor. And then because they're going to bring the prices down. Home prices will drop. Home prices will drop. You'll be able to afford a home. You'll be able to get a loan if you get your credit up. I'm not going to show it. I don't want to show it. But I got it like a year ago through my bank. You get those secure credit cards and I know I'm going to talk about this on the Money Channel, but you get a secure credit card, you get you a low limit, maybe $100, $200 a month on it. And whenever you load it up, whenever they charge you your monthly fee, even if you don't even use it, when they charge you your monthly fee, make sure you cover your monthly fee, which will be something like $10, maybe $20, whatever. Depends on what card you get. Make sure you cover that fee. And what that does, it'll boost your credit rating up. So then before you know it, you sitting on 700 plus credit score. And you'll be all right. You can go out and buy anything. Let me run your credit. Go ahead. You won't be sitting up there sweating. He's like, go ahead. Oh, okay. That's how you get low interest rates on cars and houses and everything, because you have good credit. Plus, you got to negotiate that. But the better your credit, the lower your interest rates. Anybody will tell you that. Anybody will tell you that. So my point in that is that once men start making money, all of these old chicks, they're going to die off, quote unquote. The young girls, they'll already be pushed to the side. You'll have a new crop. It'll probably be about 2 generations before they start realizing. And I'm not just speaking on black women. I'm speaking on women in America across the board. It'll be about 2 generations. And to be 100% honest, it's going to be that liberal side, which you probably don't want to mess with anyway. But there'll be 2 generations before they realize that they're better off booed up than trying to be out here on their own. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of women, liberal women, who are waking up and realizing that they've been lied to. But it's too late. The psychological damage has already been done. Like you can never recover them from the damage that's been done, or their children. It'll have to be their grandchildren or their great grandchildren that'll finally, it'll click. But one of the main reasons why he said that is that it's going to have to start at home and through the educational system. You have to kill all of that feminist rhetoric in the educational system. You have to start teaching children how to pair bond. All right, men and women, boys and girls. You're gonna have to start, getting back to like little dances and all of that stuff, and promoting male-female relationships back in schools. You have to promote the love. You have to do it in school. You have to start there. You have to start there, and then you start with mass media. You have to start the school system, though. The parents won't do it. The school will have to do it. I mean, look how they got all these little black boys out here saying that it's okay to suck a tranny's penis. I mean, and that, trans women are women. I mean, you got teenage black boys saying that. It's ridiculous because they listening to black females say that crap in school. You got to kill that quote unquote matriarchy, which is nothing but a mess. You got to kill that. And this is one of the biggest steps to them doing it. I'm sorry, I was long-winded, but I mean, seriously, it's a real big issue. It's a real big issue.
I just spoke with one of the governors at the signing of the executive order. They would like to see the money that's coming into the states from the DOE just to come in with no strings attached. How do you view such a request?
Well, first of all, you said the DOE. That could be interpreted to be the Department of Energy. So we're the Department of Education, and I think always governors would always like to see funding without any strings attached. But that is the goal of the president too, is to have as few strings and regulation as possible. Right now, for about every dollar of funding that goes into the states, one statistic that's shared with me is that 47 cents is spent in regulatory compliance. The president would clearly like to see that money being used to educate our students, and that's the goal.
Thank you. All right, you say ban Tyler Perry Productions. You know what? I think we were too harsh on Tyler Perry. When I look back on it, Tyler Perry makes movies for low IQ black people. That's why they're so trashy and ghetto. But if you look at his overall message, although we hated the whole, shirtless, light-skinned dude, the dark-skinned bald dude always slapping up the female who's saved by the shirtless, light-skinned gardener. Tyler Perry in a wig, always trying to kiss on somebody. We hate that. We hate those of us of at least a moniker of intelligence. We hate that. But he's trying to send a message to low IQ blacks. And in some of the movies, it actually gets through. Like one of my favorite movies that he made was Daddy's Girls. I mean, it was a horribly produced movie, but I love the message. I love the message. And everybody laughed at Why Did I Get Married? Let's be honest. What was that when dude Tate Diggs beat the hell out of what's her name for sleeping with his fiance? I mean, that was a good movie. He's pushing one now about a gang of Transformers committing credit card fraud. He sucks. Oh my God. Well, I'm not saying he makes bangers. I mean, he do make some trash, like the one movie, Ashtray Witch. I mean, that was garbage. But you gotta give it to him. He makes some bangers and he makes some duds. We gotta give him we gotta scale him. We gotta judge him by his latest movie. I don't hate him, and I don't hate him. I don't like him. I don't dislike him. I'm just neutral on Tyler Perry. I'm neutral on him. So let's hear what our girl, our favorite sniper, what she got to say.
Caroline, what do you say to critics of the president's education plan?
Where was their criticism of our nation's failing test scores for the last several decades? The Department of Education was founded in the 1970s, and since then we have spent more than $3 trillion at this federal bureaucracy. What has been the return on that investment for the American taxpayer? levels that are less than ideal, less than proficient. Our children's test scores are incredibly concerning when it comes to reading rates, literacy rates, math, and science test scores. The numbers prove that, and this president is finally taking much needed action to return education to where it belongs, and that's to educators closest to students in their classrooms in their respective states. We're going to have a great event here later at 4 o'clock. There will be students here, teachers here, parents here, educators, and of course governors from around the country who are very excited about taking on this responsibility to educate our nation's students.
Who's going to run federal student loans?
So the Department of Education will be much smaller than it is today. As you know, the president's executive order directed Linda McMahon to greatly minimize the agency. So when it comes to student loans and Pell Grants, those will still be run out of the Department of Education, but we don't need to be spending more than $3 trillion over the course of a few decades on a department that's clearly failing in its initial intention to educate our students.
So is the federal government going to be
going to
spending
be
less?
much smaller than it is. Is it not going to be shut down completely? And then I have a second question.
As I said, Pell Grants and student loans will still be run out of the department in Washington, D.C., but the great responsibility of educating our nation's students will return to the states.
And the Department of Education plays a critical role in enforcing civil rights laws that prohibit discrimination. Who's going to do that now?
Any critical functions of the department, such as that, will remain. But again, we're greatly reducing the scale and the size of this department.
What about federal Title I funding and special education funding? Is that still good?
Same answer. Yes.
Caroline, on the Federal Reserve, the president criticized the rate decision yesterday. Is he looking to replace members of the Federal Reserve Board like he did on the Federal Trade Commission?
Well, the president has appointed Mickey Bowman, as you know, to be the vice chair of the Federal Reserve. We're incredibly optimistic about her. She's on the ball, as the president says, and knows how to get things done. The president has every right to criticize the decision, and he's made it very clear that he believes in lower interest rates are going to help this country boom, and this administration is working on lowering the rate of inflation caused by the previous administration every day. Inflation is cooling, the numbers indicate that, and the president strongly believes in low interest rates, and I think the American public do too.
Caroline, on the deportation flights, Caroline, you've said that you're confident that you've complied with the judge's order.
We are.
Then why not turn over the information about the flights?
We are 100% confident that we've complied. And as I said from the podium and will continue to say, all of the flights that were subject to the written order of the judge took off before the written order was pushed in the courtroom. And the president is well within his Article 2 power and his authority under the Alien Enemies Act to make these decisions. And we think it's egregious that a single district judge is trying to tell the president of the United States who he can and cannot deport from our soil, especially when it comes to designated foreign terrorists.
What about the status of turning over that information?
Jeff, go ahead.
The administration is getting some attention this week for a memo that was released, I think, a couple weeks ago, taking segregation out of the criteria for federal contracting. Can you explain what that memo was supposed to do? And if you're looking to, I presume you're not looking for segregation to come back, but can you explain what the reason for the memo was?
Did the memo come from the White House or was it from an agency?
It was from the administration. I think it was OPM.
Okay, I would defer you to whichever agency wrote that memo. I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to it. Go ahead.
All right. So what dude is talking about? Because I've seen some blackity blacks YouTubers talk about this. You know, they especially like that loser Roland Martin, saying that they're trying to bring back segregation. And it's like, no, they're not. Like what people feel. This is what the blackity blacks fail to understand is that nobody is special anymore. It's 2025. You had from 2020 to 2024 to run this country, and you ran it into the ground with your quote unquote specialness. We're now in a mess because we let the specials run the country through the White House. Now everything is, we're on the brink of collapse. We're on the brink of economic collapse, economic and social collapse because of them. So this is Trump undoing everything that they've done. And the number one thing that they've undone is the specialness. You as a black person or as a gay person or a trans person or a Hispanic person or whatever, unless you are disabled, both mentally and physically, and or an elderly or a child under the age of 18, you're no longer special. You're no longer a protected class. You get out here and you make it on your own. It's sink or swim time for the next 16 years, easily. That's this 4 and the 2 under Vance. It's sink or swim time. And you can't say, oh, I'm going to starve, because jobs are coming back. They cutting off the welfare. Sink or swim. And I know that a lot of blackity blacks, they grew up on welfare. All right, whether they want to admit it or not. So now that they're talking about taking it away, they feel that it's a slight on them, not knowing that it was only supposed to be a temporary measure during the civil rights movement, and it was supposed to went away after a few years, but it didn't. That's why they started putting, well, unfortunately, they put, because black women were the main ones that were on it. This is why in the 80s, they were given scholarships. Excuse me. I'm sorry. They were giving scholarships to girls that were at least C students. So that way, when they graduated high school, went to college, they didn't have to go on the welfare rolls. It was to reduce the welfare rolls. But instead, what did these chicks do? Got knocked up and got right back on the system. Had drug dealer babies while in high school, got on the system while in high school, even after they graduated college. They were still on public assistance, scared to get a job because the jobs would take away their benefits. So you got a lot of educated welfare queens out here. You the most enrolled, claim to be the most educated, but you're dumb as a sack of hammers. And now you're about to pay the penalty. And the pro-blackity blacks, they can't handle that. They don't want to see the truth. They just think it's an attack on black people, white people too, and anybody else that's on social services that has the ability to work. Stop being a lazy bum, you lazy bum.
Thanks, Caroline. This executive order dismantles the department. To abolish it completely requires Congress to act. Is the administration asking Congress to codify Trump's executive order to abolish the department?
I'll leave it to the president to speak on that later. 4 o'clock.
Sure. Anything is the president doing about Gaza? Is he trying to get the ceasefire back in play? What's his plan?
Well, the president made it very clear to Hamas that if they did not release all of the hostages, there would be all hell to pay. And unfortunately, Hamas chose to play games in the media with lives. This situation, let's not forget, is completely the fault of Hamas when they launched that brutal attack on Israel on October 7th. And the president has made it very clear that he wants all of those hostages to come home, and he fully supports Israel and the IDF and the actions that they've taken in recent days.
Yeah, because at this point, you were supposed to release the hostages. You didn't. So whatever they like this, Trump is like this. Whatever Israel do in the Gaza Strip is, hey, we told you to release the hostages. You still want to play games. So if they continue to blow up buildings and kill innocent civilians, as they've been doing, understand that now it is 100% on you. It is 100% on you, not us. Flat out. And you know what? At this point, I don't blame them. Especially now that these hostages, they've talked about the things that have been happening to them for over the past, year? Like over a year? Like, what is this?
Go ahead, Michael.
The president would like to see American schools and students reach over the next 4 years after he signs the EO?
Well, again, in the intent of this EO is to return this great responsibility back to the states. And we know, we believe in federalism here at the White House. I know the previous administration didn't, but we think decisions are best made when they're closest to the people. And we trust teachers and educators in their respective schools to make these very important decisions about our children's education and their futures. And the current status quo is failing our students. In fact, I have some facts right here. 13-year-olds' mathematics scores are the lowest they have been in decades. 13-year-olds' reading scores are the lowest since testing began over 30 years ago. Low-performing students are falling further behind. One city, Baltimore, Maryland, in 2023, high schools had 0 students who tested proficient in mathematics. As a mother myself, I know I share the concern of many parents across the country. We want our children to be bright and smart and ahead of the game. This is also, I would say, a national security issue. When you look at how students around the world, particularly in China, are being educated, American students are falling behind. We're not keeping up with our allies or our adversaries, and that's a major problem for our country. And the president is fixing it today.
We're less than 2 weeks away now from the August 2nd big tariff deadline. Has the president spoken with his Canadian counterpart, Prime Minister?
Not to my knowledge, I don't believe he has, but I can check in with the president and get you a firm answer on that. But my understanding is they haven't spoken, and the president has been very clear about his intention for April 2nd. It's going to be a big day for our country. I would encourage all of you to be here to cover the White House that day on April 2nd, because there will be big announcements when it comes to reciprocal trade. And the president will be highlighting the unfair trade practices, the ways in which America has been ripped off by every country around the world, quite frankly. And there will be big tariffs that will be going into effect, and the president will be announcing those himself.
The European Union had a decision yesterday against Apple and Google. Are you familiar with that? And is there anything the president, is that a response to the April 2nd tariffs?
I think we've seen a lot of movement actually around the world of countries who are lessening their tariffs. I know the EU also paused their alleged tariff on whiskey. And so I think you're seeing countries are taking the president seriously. They understand that he is going to do what's right for American workers and families. And so the president and his team are in constant communication with our EU counterparts, but also our counterparts around the world.
You listed off some of the failures over the last 30 years from the Department of Education. So for critics, what has been the ROI on $3 trillion going to a failing education system?
It's a great question. Nothing. And that's exactly why the president is signing the order later today.
Yeah, the executive order today is also the goal to eventually be spending less in federal dollars on education.
Of course. It's our goal to reduce the size and scale of this government across every agency, which is why you've seen very strong and quick actions taken to reduce the amount of money that federal taxpayers are paying on a system that is failing them and their families.
Does that mean like eventually downsizing some of the programs that are run out of the education department currently?
It means stopping the wasteful spending, and as I said, critical programs will be protected.
So Caroline, we have this noon deadline looming for this DC judge for the DOJ to turn over these documents when it comes to the time logs of these deportation flights. Is the administration going to turn over that information?
Another repeat question.
The information that the DC court is asking for.
I won't get ahead of our lawyers, but you'll hear from them in court.
And a follow-up question. The Commerce Secretary yesterday said that Tesla stock is something that Americans should be buying. Is that the stance of the administration that people should be investing in? Is that something that the Commerce Secretary should be recommending?
I think the Commerce Secretary was reiterating that the president supports an American-made company like Tesla, who produces a very good product for the American people, which was beloved by the American people, particularly Democrats, until Elon Musk decided to vote for Donald Trump. And now we've seen despicable and unacceptable violence taking place across our country at Tesla dealerships against workers, employees, and also innocent Americans who drive these vehicles. It's actually a scary time in our country because of this political violence from the left, and the White House and the president's entire administration condemn it wholeheartly.
Caroline.
We'll see you guys at 4 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Caroline.
Let me say something, because I noticed that I lost some viewers when I talked about Israel destroying more buildings in Gaza or whatnot. Let me tell you something. Look, I don't support Israel. I don't support what they've done ever since 46, 48, and slowly encroached on the Palestinian territory. But the thing is this, they lost. They lost. They lost. They lost. Of course, it was a hostile, slow and steady hostile takeover. We know this. We know this. But what they did on October 7th, I'm sorry, that was on them. Everything that's happened to them ever since they attacked Israel is on them. If somebody did that to you, let's say they kidnapped your mama and your little sister, and wouldn't give them back. You keep going to they family's house, but they not there. You gotta, they don't want to open the door, so you shoot the house up. You kick in the door. You start breaking faces with the butts of guns. Where the hell is my peoples at? And they not telling you? I mean, revenge is a dish best served cold. You got to take your feelings out of it and look at it for what it is. Revenge is a dish best served cold. They lost the war. They lost that land. It's over. This was just the final step. Now they're going to be like Indians working at casinos and hotels and whatnot. Those that come back. But hey, that's Hamas's fault. They just sped up the process. That's all. They sped up the process. The Palestinians that are here, or the black people, the goofy black people rooting for Palestine or whatnot, well, I tell you what, get on a plane and go over there. Get on a plane and go over there. Since, you got so much, fake outrage over the situation, then go handle it. Go handle your business, player. Or you can just look at it and be like, Dad, that's messed up. But at this point, I'm sorry, you can't defend them. There's nothing to defend anymore. They've done this to themselves. They've done it to themselves.
This weekend, several protests have been erupting across the U.S., including in our area. They're all focusing against...
I'm sorry, her video is so low. You say, are they pumping the stock so big investors can get out with a bag? Probably. You say Israel's a tyrant. Well, I mean, yeah. But I mean, they won. They won. You have to face facts. They won. If Israel doesn't spend what the U.S. gave them, they can't justify an increase in aid. That's true. Each side has disdain for the black man. Exactly. That's why I'm like I got no feelings. I have no feelings. Like, it is what it is. I'm outside the box looking at it. Y'all lost the war for y'all land. They slowly took your stuff over. Then for some reason, you had a bunch of morons decide that this was them. Oh, we're gonna, like Cobra on hang gliders, Cobra, thinking that was gonna do something positive for Palestinians. And now look, Palestine is looking like the last scenes of the third act of Saving Private Ryan. Like, give back the hostages. Give back the hostages and face your death like a man. Because you're not going to survive this. You're not going to survive this. So face your death like a man. At any rate, all right. So this is going to be kind of low. I'm sorry, but hopefully y'all can hear it. Let's play it. It's my first time hearing it.
This weekend, several protests have been erupting across the U.S., including in our area. They're all focusing against President Donald Trump's policy changes, Elon Musk's Doge, which has helped defund several government programs. Now, in Delray Beach, dozens gathered outside a Tesla dealership to voice their opposition against billionaire Elon Musk. The protest is part of a bigger Tesla takedown movement, encouraging shareholders to dump their stock and join the picket lines. It started around 11 a.m. outside the Tesla Service Center on South Federal Highway. Protesters held signs voicing their frustration.
And we're just here today rallying against Elon and what he's done. And it hasn't been so good in recent times with Elon. Ever since Trump's been in, it's more been about lust in Trump, really. And I think there's been stuff going out today in Fort Lauderdale and other places where we're just showing our frustration of what's going on right now.
That fool didn't even say nothing. All he said was that it's more about Elon than Trump right now. Like, yeah, because you watching CNN, MSNBC or whatnot. Like, where people get their information from matters a lot. matters a lot. And this dude didn't look, this moron got his sign upside down. Let me put the closed captioning on to help out. Man, they don't even know, but you know, as we found out, the Democratic Party through Act Blue is they're paying these people to protest. These are paid protesters.
The protest follows dozens of others from across our state, including in Tallahassee. Dozens gathered outside the state capitol yesterday afternoon, showing their anger for President Trump's defunding of several scientific programs. Elon Musk responding on his social media site X, placing the blame on the Democratic organization Act Blue as responsible for the protests. He blames other organizations within Act Blue, like Seattle organization Troublemakers and the Disruption Project. And if you were at the protest, we want you to chime in. You can send the latest pictures and videos on our website, cbs12.com.
This is not a Second Amendment.
Your time has expired, sir. Thank you. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
But I'm playing this right here to show you that this is why these people are out here. They feel that they can vandalize other people's property, you know, Teslas and Tesla dealerships, because of sick laws like this. I'll let it play.
Chairman and Mr. Kiley, thank you for your questions. You think about California. Well, it's California. You figured that. You know, as an old sheriff in Fort Bend County, Texas, we love the great state of Texas. You come into the great state of Texas, you start waving a gun around and threatening our citizens, or you break into a home in the state of Texas, you're leaving in a bag. You will leave in a bag. And as a sheriff, many did, breaking into people's homes, their castles, threatening, scaring people. That's California for you, but I tell you, not in the great state of Texas, we won't allow it. First, I want to ask about the effect of left-wing DAs charging people with crimes for engaging in obvious self-defense or defense of others. Mr. Daniel Penny, his name comes to mind as a recent example. Last year, Mr. Penny restrained Jordan Neely on the New York City subway after Neely continued to threaten women and children on the train, which unfortunately resulted in his death. I'm sure that Mr. Penny didn't want to have to take the man's life. Nobody wants to do that. Although this was an obvious case of self-defense of others, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg charged Penny with manslaughter, likely due to public pressure from the left-wing radicals who felt Mr. Neely should have been allowed to threaten women and children with impunity. And even though the jury came to an obvious outcome of a full acquittal, didn't take long, a full acquittal, the damage to Mr. Penny had already been done. He had been through an 18-month ordeal in which his name and reputation had drug it through the mud. So the government, the media's message to New Yorkers was clear. Dare to protect your fellow citizens, and we will destroy your life. You know, the old Good Samaritan. Do you have Good Samaritans out there anymore? You may not have them anymore. Why would anybody do it when you have nut jobs like Alvin Bragg and others that want to go after and make the individual that wants to help other people, he's all of a sudden the suspect? Mr. McDermott, do these kinds of political prosecutions deter people from coming to the defense of others? And how does that put at risk vulnerable populations like women and children and the elderly? In other words, how important is it? How important is it for us to have a society where people feel empowered to come to the defense of the vulnerable, Mr. McDermott?
Obviously, the question answers itself. It's extremely important. We have a number of different problems. First off, many people recognize the right to defend themselves, and very often they disregard the right to defend others.
Horrible color combination, horrible pocket square. What the hell? It's not even the same color as your tie, bruh. You look pathetic. I know you thought you probably would look sharp, but you look like you got this suit at the Goodwill. Stop it.
As happened in that particular case, there are certain uniform, I would say, rules in this space. There are certain things that you see repeating themselves very often. For example, my clients that are being charged with very serious charges, the majority of these clients, the vast majority of these clients, close to all of them, have no criminal backgrounds. Yet the victims that are being the complaining witnesses in these cases do have backgrounds. They have violent backgrounds. I have a client right now that's in custody that will not release from custody because it's been determined that she's a danger to society. She's a grandmother. She's protecting herself. She's protecting her daughter. She's protecting her 75-year-old mother from 2 grown men that were beating on them, and she's being charged. So this is happening just far too often.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McDermott. I got one question, minute left. Talk about the Second Amendment, uniformity in the Second Amendment. Based on the current laws of the states of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, for example, a Pennsylvania resident could receive an 18-month prison sentence and a $10,000 fine simply for possessing a knife in New Jersey that he is legally allowed to have in Pennsylvania. So, Mr. Ritter, how do you think that is in the spirit of the Second Amendment? How does the lack of uniformity among states, even in what kind of knife one can carry, degrade the right to self-defense?
Okay, now before you answer, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Trump made carry conceal legal across the board. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I read that somewhere where he made it legal across the board, which is a big win, for the average Joe Schmo out here just working the 9 to 5. Maybe you may not live in a not so nice neighborhood. Maybe, the gas station you go to get gas, it's a little sketchy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's a big win. That's why I put this in here. Like, this is a big win.
So
stay out of Jersey. Lewis ain't gonna like that.
The issue is, under Bruin, there really is no defense for creating a ban on a particular kind of knife, because all of these knives are common. All of these knives are, quite frankly, less dangerous than a firearm. The purpose of my bill is to ensure that if someone from your great state of Texas is going to the great state of New Hampshire and has to pass through New Jersey, that they can do so without risk of being imprisoned for simply carrying a knife that's legal at both the start and the finish of their journey, as long as they lock it up. This is about protecting your constituents.
Thank you, Mr.
You see the ladies back here, moms demand action for gun sense in America. Yeah, this is what Trump is doing. Like, yo, it's legal. Now, I was waiting. I wanted to wait on this. You say, shout out to Tesla stocks, right? Yeah, you're right. Shout out to Tesla stock. Because ever since Tuesday of March 18th at 10 a.m., they just been climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. So yeah, this is the 5 days. It's Friday. It's going for $2.48 a share. Yeah. Shout out to Tesla stock. Oh, good. My Apple stock is rising. The Apple stock. Okay, good. Let's see. 5 day. All right. Yeah, my Apple stock has been shooting up. Ooh, it shot up big time. What? Yeah, today at 2 o'clock. That comes from people buying it right before the closing time. Let's see. NVIDIA. NVIDIA is the only one I got that may be still suffering. But, I'm not worried. I'm worried, but I'm not worried. I'm worried, but I'm not worried. 1 month, 6 months. I'm worried, but I'm not worried. But, we'll deal with that when we get to the money show. Let's see. I'll check on that. The big 2A channels haven't said anything about universal reciprocity. Yeah, take a look at that. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm just telling you what I heard him say. But we can take a look at it. We probably won't have time tonight, but and I'm not going to do a Saturday show. So, put it in the comment section. How about that? Put it in the comment section. So let's go to the next one.
With that, I yield back.
I think I covered this. Yeah, I covered this. Hold on. Let's get an updated version.
It's a new video out
Here we
of
go.
Las Vegas. Look at this. This is an attack at a Tesla service center. Investigators say someone used Molotov
Came out
cocktails
2
to
days
set
ago.
several vehicles on fire and then shot at them. So this is part of a growing wave of attacks on Tesla products and shops all across the country. The Attorney General calling them acts of domestic terrorism. Correspondent Alex Capriello is live right now in a Chicago.
Hold on. Look at this, Mark. Look at this. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, stay in your little white enclaves and do this crap. Do this crap in your white enclaves, because I swear to God, you bring yourself over here to this little dot right here, and you do that, you liable to catch hot lead in your butt cheeks. You'll catch hot lead pulling that in this little dot right here over in Georgia. You'll catch hot lead in your butt cheeks. So do this in Illinois and Missouri and Massachusetts and Colorado and Las Vegas and Salem and Tigard and Seattle, because you know we'll pop you out here playing with our cars, bruh. And a lot of black folks drive Teslas here in Atlanta. Okay, I see them everywhere. They drive more Teslas than Chargers. The two cars that they drive the most here in Atlanta are Teslas and Chargers. Teslas outnumber the Chargers. Chargers are for the young folks and older dudes trying to live their little childhood dreams of having a muscle car while they be doing 65 in the far left lane and you got to go around them. But yeah, I see a lot of people, a lot of smart people with good money, legal money. They drive Teslas out here. But at any rate, let's go.
Capriello is live right now in a Chicago suburb. And Alex, that's where a woman is accused of a similar
Yeah, I
attack.
saw that, Jibba.
Yeah, that's right, Nicole. Just this morning, a
Henderson?
26-year-old
Okay.
woman actually appeared in a Buffalo Grove,
up,
Illinois
Papa?
courtroom accused of felony vandalism as
Papa
well as
too, good.
trespassing related to possible spray painting that happened at this Tesla dealership right here behind me. Now
right
we're
in the
seeing the
tooth,
U.S.
bro.
Attorney General promising the full force of the
man.
Justice Department against these vandals. However, we know her hands are most certainly going to be full considering these incidents are happening all across the country. Let's begin here in Las Vegas, where witnesses reported seeing someone dressed in black setting the all-electric vehicles on fire. When police arrived, the word resist was spray painted on the building. Also, on the West Coast in San Diego this time, mass protests erupting outside Tesla dealerships. However, these peaceful protests and demonstrations accompany further acts of vandalism. This dealership had to work to remove spray-painted swastikas and curse words from its fleet. Also in Portland now.
Keep in mind, these are Democrats. Swastikas, they're very familiar with swastikas and rebel flags. That's why they really paint them like that. I'm gonna let this play before I say what I gotta say to us black folks concerning the Democratic Party and this garbage.
Police say someone fired 7 bullets into 3 Tesla cars at a dealership. A different dealership altogether nearby was targeted when a hooded figure began throwing Molotov cocktails at those EVs. Trump's newly appointed Attorney General, Pam Bondi, now calling this domestic terrorism. She says the Justice Department has already charged instigators related to these attacks, which carry a minimum sentence of 5 years prison time. Elon Musk, in the meantime, attempting to validate his efforts at the Department of Government Efficiency, saying he's being targeted for his work within the federal government.
They basically want to kill me because I'm stopping their fraud. And they want to hurt Tesla because we're stopping this terrible waste and corruption in the government.
Back here in Buffalo Grove, the woman that appeared in court today has been released on her own recognizance. She's no longer in police custody. She has another hearing coming up in May. In the meantime, Nicole, she's been ordered to stay away from all Tesla dealerships.
All right, so Alex, another big piece of all of this, we know the markets have absolutely been in turmoil in recent weeks. How is Tesla weathering all of that?
Yeah, if you've looked at your portfolio lately, you know that Tesla is going through a lot of trouble right now. We've seen the stock drop about 40% just within this month alone. One wealth manager who owns about $105 million worth of stock in Tesla has actually called for Elon Musk to step down as CEO, saying the business has been completely neglected since he's taken on this new responsibility with the federal government.
We just looked at the stock, so we know that. But this was 2 days ago. This was 2 days ago. So we'll dismiss it.
And he says that Musk's behavior has put the entire company at risk.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
This is actually the second time that Tesla's had to do a recall for.
All right, so this is from Pam Bondi, Attorney General Bondi's statement on violent attacks against Tesla property. Attorney General Pamela Bondi, Pammy Bondi, released the following statement this evening regarding a spate of recent attacks on Tesla property. The swarm of violent attacks on Tesla property is nothing short of domestic terrorism. The Department of Justice has already charged several perpetrators with that in mind, including in cases that involve charges with 5-year mandatory minimum sentences. We will continue investigations that impose severe consequences on those involved in these attacks, including those operating behind the scenes to coordinate and fund these crimes. She's talking about Act Blue. So right now, they have to find out where they know it's Act Blue, but who's in charge, because Act Blue is very shady. So they got to follow the money. They got to follow the money before they can start charging the people that's sending these morons out here to spend 5 years in butt-pounding jail. Do you know how stupid you have to be to throw Molotov cocktails and vandalize a Tesla dealership under the orders of some idiot for maybe $20 an hour or a couple $1,000s? Even if it's $50K, you live in an Orwellian society. There are cameras everywhere. Traffic lights, storefronts, people's ring cams everywhere. Remember Carly Russell walking down the street? She claimed she was, oh, there's a baby, and oh, I'm kidnapped, and was walking home, and then she got 2 houses away. But meanwhile, traffic cameras showing her driving about a good 30 miles per hour on the berm, talking about she following a baby, okay, at 30 miles an hour, and then here she turned up, walking down the street chilling, Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Okay, time for me to put on my act on ring cam. You get busted. There's nowhere in America you can hide. You know how hard it is to get away with a crime out in public in America? It just don't happen like that no more. You say, do these people realize that all those Teslas are insured? You just gave the dealership a nice payday, right? Because then first and foremost, they already bought the cars from Tesla. It's now in the hands of the bank and the car dealership, not on Tesla anymore. You're a moron. Big stakeholders have wanted to dump Musk as CEO for a while since he smoked weed and played TikTok vids during investor Zoom calls. Oh yeah, I heard about that. Let's see. Real question. Who's the real Nazi? Zelensky and Ukraine or Elon? Last time I checked, Kanye said a mouthful of corporations supported Neo in Europe, got him canceled. Yeah. But pound and chill. These people think that's heaven. More than likely, Democrats don't realize that because they're morons. And let me say something. Stop supporting the Democratic Party. As Black people, stop supporting the Democratic Party. I'm not telling you to support the Republicans. I'm saying, look, I'm independent. I voted for Jill Stein because she had the reparations bill on her desk. I voted for her. I didn't vote for Trump because I already knew he had it in the bag. I mean, come on. Kamala's a moron. Who's going to vote? Only 91 and 77% of Black people voted for her because they're morons too. They're morons too. How do you sit up here and call yourself a pro-blackity black You for the black man and the black family and all of this stuff. You didn't listen to Jill Stein's interview on the Breakfast Club. What about Jason Black? When Jason Black questioned her, he was left okay. He just okay. Normally he'd be roasting people. He couldn't even roast her. The woman was articulate, straight to the point, and had comprehensive plans. Neither one of them could trip her up. He saying Obama lost me at the beer summit and I haven't looked back. Exactly. When he had that beer with that cop, I was done. When he sang the Negro spiritual at the roof killed at the church. Oh, super done. What are you doing? The only way to get your reparations is third party, and that's looking like the Green Party. And probably by the time the Green Party even comes into prominence, which will have to be after Vance's second term, unless something drastic happens within the next 3-4 years or 8 years, please, because the Democratic Party is dying a quick, painful death. Their media is dying. Their leadership is a joke. Jasmine Crockett, are you serious? You got these dumb Negroes out here. Oh, you tell them, Ratchet Crockett. Like she's saying something that's worth listening to. This chick sounds like a ghetto hood rat. And you got black people cheering her on. You're low IQ. You're low IQ. That chick, all this lawyer crap, this chick was nothing but an ambulance chaser. We went through her history. She was a BLM butt-kissing ambulance chaser. She ain't do nothing big. She ran practically unopposed. She went up against a libertarian. Please. That's how she got in there. I'm surprised. I really do think that that's really how she is. I really do think she really is ratchet like that. Obama calmed me with that walk-off three-point shot. That damn magical Negro. Tell it, child. Y'all stupid. Kamala Harris is just 2 seconds to far the hurricane. You look, Kamala, understand what all this is really about. The Democrats are doing. They are upset. They stay running scared and they upset because Elon, who is not even the head of Doge, some white woman in her 50s, is the head of Doge. He's just the face because it's his team that was brought in to do all of the calculations and find out what's going on with the money. Because Trump didn't want any government influence or people getting in his way. You see how these people are doing. He didn't want nobody standing in the way. He wanted it done, and he wanted it done yesterday. So he hired Elon's team. But Elon's not the head of Doge. He's just not. He's not. He's running cover for the lady, the white lady that's really at the head of Doge, which Carolyn Leavitt had already said, hey, yo, yeah, he wasn't the head. There's somebody else that's the head. But who is it? We're not telling you. None of your goddamn business. That's what she said in a press conference. She said that at the podium. She said that 2 weeks ago. So he's taking all of the slings and arrows from these psychopaths in order to save us money, get the country out of debt, and expose, and unfortunately, expose all of these Democratic leaders who are stealing money, stealing government money. He know that. Of course they want him dead because their lives are it's not just their livelihoods that's on the line. Their freedom is on the line. So you can put Ratchet Crockett up there. You can put AOC up there. You can put Ilhan Omar up there. You can put Ayanna Pressley up there. You can put whoever you want to up there. All of these people are guilty. They are guilty of criminal acts involving money, federal funds. They're guilty of either stealing or mismanaging. And I'm telling you now, when the DOJ and the FBI, when they clean house of all of these treasonous, traitorous agents, that's when they're going to start going after these people. It's just a matter of time. They already arresting people. They're already arresting people. But this right here, this whole Cybertruck thing, I get what it is. You say I'm pro crypto, I'll vote on green light on crypto. Yeah, I do the crypto too. We're going to talk about that too Sunday. But this whole situation with them recalling the Cybertrucks, in all honesty, this is a safe way for people. Is there a defect? Sure. But this is a safe way for people to turn in their cars and trucks, especially their trucks, to avoid being attacked by these lunatics.
Or pieces of trim coming loose. And so it's maybe a little bit of a source of embarrassment, because it's one thing to have an issue pop up that I think for all automakers, even the best ones, they occasionally will have recalls that are a tad embarrassing. In this case, to have it happen twice, granted it is a different part of the vehicle, but this truck, of course, was so sort of famous for Elon Musk's decision to clad it all in stainless steel, and apparently they're having trouble with the adhesives to keep that steel stuck to the vehicle.
Craig, generally speaking, what's the if I were to go to Consumer Reports, what's the general feeling out there in the auto world about the quality of a Tesla vehicle?
I mean, I think for the Cybertruck, it's really interesting that this is the 8th recall that they've done.
Okay, that answers it, I guess.
And to be fair, some of them have been, for minor issues. My favorite one last year, they violated a font size rule in the U.S. where, when you warn a driver that of safety critical data, you've got to do it in a large enough font, and Tesla, violated that. So.
Really?
That of course is not a particularly, I guess it's not unserious, but it's a relatively minor thing. Some of these fixes that they've made, they've been able to handle them via over-the-air software updates. But an issue like this trim defect, they will have to, have customers come into the stores or into the service centers, have a look at the vehicles, and in some cases have to do some repairs that will cost the company some money. And, I think generally the reputation, I think early on for Tesla, there was a lot of, noise within the auto industry about, this company makes vehicles with, big panel gaps. A lot of people didn't really necessarily care about that. And I do think, to Tesla's credit, they've gotten better on quality, but, recalls like this don't really help that reputation.
So Tesla stock down at almost 2%, but it's not like it's been smooth sailing. It's been a really terrible few months for Tesla. What provides a bottom for this stock?
I think, the Cybertruck, has been something of a letdown for them, right? It's the one new vehicle that they've had, really since the Model Y came out back in 2020. And so I think there were some hopes that this would be a big hit. And I think it's not really sort of delivered. I think the thing to look forward to if you're an investor is the redesigned Model Y that earlier this year, the company sort of released a look at the Model Y. It interestingly has on the front end, it looks a little bit more.
All right, they just filibustering. Let's get on to the next story.
Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem exclusively telling Fox News she is taking action after identifying 2 internal leakers within the agency.
We have identified 2 leakers of information here at the Department of Homeland Security who have been telling individuals about our operations and putting law enforcement lives in jeopardy. We plan to prosecute these 2 individuals and hold them accountable for what they've done. And we're going to continue to do all that we can to keep America safe.
Florida Senator and member of the Homeland Security Committee, Rick Scott, joins us now. Senator Scott, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How important is it that DHS go after, and other agencies for that matter, go after these leakers inside federal government agencies that are undermining the administration's effort to make arrests and deport criminal aliens?
It's very important. Number one, Trump 47 is going to be known for 3 things: common sense,
accountability and transparency. And so what Kristi Noem is doing here is saying, who in the right mind wants to keep criminals in this country? And why would somebody at Homeland Security want to help criminals that are killing American citizens? I mean, we just watched, Laken Riley's parents the other day. I mean, who in their right mind? So she's going to hold people accountable. I've been in the Senate 6 years. There has been no accountability. This is what's going to happen now. There's going to be accountability all across this country. If you're illegal, you don't have a right to be in this country. You don't have a right. Come in here legally. I like legal immigration. If we need to work on our legal immigration system, the Democrats should help us. But this idea that we want criminals and terrorists and narco traffickers, we want more drugs, and these Democrats want to defend it. The Democrats are being known for exactly what the American public don't want.
Right.
The American public want transparency and accountability.
And of course, if you're an employee working for the federal government, working for the executive branch, and you're thwarting the efforts of the executive branch, you probably should no longer be working for the federal government. It's
And
funny,
be charged for
in this
treason.
upside-down world where you have people behaving like this, you have Democrats today who are weighing the idea of a government shutdown in order to protest the cuts being made by DOGE. Talk about lost in the wilderness.
They are lost. Everybody comes into my office every week and asks for more money. And here's what I explain to them. We've had a 2% increase in population in the last 5 years and a 53% increase in spending. We are spending $2 trillion more than we take in. Inflation will not go away, and interest rates will not come down until we balance our budget. And there is so much waste. Thank God for what Elon Musk and his team are doing. They're showing this massive, complete waste, and exactly what the American public has seen. And the average person says, "Look, I don't spend my money like this. I would not spend my money like this." We had a hearing the other day, and I asked two people that are supportive of foreign aid. I said, "Okay, so I have to go back to Florida and explain, what does a citizen of Florida get for this foreign aid?" They couldn't do it. They could not explain what an American citizen gets out of this foreign aid. I'm sure there's something that's good that's there, but they couldn't explain it. That's exactly the problem we've got. Our government is unexplainable now.
Right. So obviously, people are applauding what they're seeing out of the executive branch, but there's still a lot that the legislative branch can do from your end. What are some of the things that you're looking at from a congressional standpoint to buttress these cuts and make them permanent?
Well, number one, we've got to balance the budget.
Yeah.
Number two is everything that Elon Musk and his team are finding and agency heads are finding, we've got to take a rescission package from the White House and we've got to pass it to eliminate the spending. So we've got the opportunity this coming week. If we don't come up with a continuing resolution, then we're going to have government shut down on Friday. I know many Democrats are saying they want government shutdown. I don't want government shutdown. Right. I want accountability. I want a balanced budget. I balanced the budget in Florida. Florida had not balanced its budgets. Most states don't balance the budget. They just keep borrowing money like the federal government. I balance it every year by doing exactly what Elon Musk is doing. Guess what? We went line by line, like you probably do with your credit card. You look through there and say, "Hey, I didn't spend this. I didn't
every family in
I
America
didn't buy
does.
this."
Right. Exactly. So
everybody does it.
And I want to get to this one final thing with you. I know that you're on the cutting edge of wanting to lock the clocks and end daylight savings time forever. So why do we need to lock the clocks and end daylight savings time?
Well, first off, in Florida, we like our sunshine. We love being out on the beach. We love playing sports. We love all these things. And people are just sick and tired of going back and forth twice a year. You change the clock. So they're tired of it. When I was governor, I passed a bill that if the federal government allowed us, we were going to stay on daylight savings time. I have a federal bill, Sunshine Protection Act, would say we'll stay on daylight savings time. President Trump has been supportive of locking the clock, and I hope we can get it done quickly so we stop this constantly going back and forth every few months.
Although
all right, so You see what I'm saying? They have to clean out. Department of Homeland Security, DOJ, and the FBI. They have to clean. They got a lot of people to clean out. That's why you're not seeing the arrest that we should be seeing. This is why you have, as far as the Epstein files or whatnot, you haven't been given the full list. The JFK stuff, you haven't been given the full list, although you should be given the full list on the JFK stuff. I don't know why they're trying to still hold on to that. Release the videos. The government confiscated 3 videos of the JFK assassination. Release the videos. Release the videos. I've seen the 4th one. Release the 3 that you confiscated. Release them. I don't know what they're trying to protect. I guess they don't want people identified in the videos. I don't know. Because as you saw with the files, the paper files, they showed that Israel and the United States, they had something to do with it, because he didn't want them to have any nuclear capabilities. But of course, government officials behind Kennedy's back hooked him up with it anyway. He like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing? But it runs a whole lot deeper than that. What is it? 28,000 pages, something like that. It's a lot to comb through. All I say is just release the videos. Just show us who shot the man. We'll work on the details after that later. But you got a lot to clean up. You got a lot to clean up. Matter of fact, proof that they're trying to do something about it.
An FBI agent who once railed against political bias in the Bureau under Trump's first term has been nabbed, charged with leaking a trove of confidential secrets he swore to protect. Court filings revealed this week in a jaw-dropping twist.
Keep in mind, I've been wanting to do this story about FBI agents who said that if they get fired, they were going to turn over state secrets to Russia. I think this might be. I haven't watched this video. Every video I play, I haven't watched. So this might be tied to that. So let's go.
Jonathan Boomer, a 15-year counterintelligence veteran, was dramatically arrested at a New York airport. Caught red-handed as he faces explosive federal charges for mishandling some of the FBI's most guarded files. The bombshell accusation? Back in 2023, Boomer allegedly printed a staggering 130 classified files from FBI systems, not for duty, but to fuel a tell-all book about his career, spilling secrets to associates like it was gossip.
Wow.
Among the leaks, chilling details of FBI probes into a foreign nation's weapons of mass destruction program. Yes, WMDs, plus screenshots of chats with a confidential source that shockingly ended up in a news article laid bare for the world to see.
Man,
this is the same Boomer who loudly accused the Trump administration of meddling with the FBI's integrity. Now he's walked into Brooklyn Federal Court this Tuesday.
Hold on. Do me a favor, Jibba Jabba. Post his link in the comment section after this video, so that way I can go take a look at it. All right, post the link in the comment section at the end of this video, not here in the chat, but so that way it's there.
Tuesday, arraigned and released on a $100,000 bond. No plea yet, but the irony is deafening. The case has bolted to California, where the charges erupted. His public defender, stuck representing him just for the arraignment, dodged all questions, leaving Boomer's next move a mystery as the spotlight burns hotter. This unfolds as Donald Trump storms back into the presidency after the 2024 election, vowing to crush Justice Department foes he claims targeted him. Boomer's arrest? A lightning rod in a storm of political payback? Or justice finally served? Enter Kash Patel, Trump's pick, to run the FBI, swearing to lawmakers he'll block political witch hunts in the Bureau. But with Boomer in the crosshairs, that promise hangs by a thread. Trust inside the agency teetering on the edge. Court filings slam Boomer with a brutal truth. He knew those files were untouchable, yet he shared them anyway. The guy who blasted Trump for mishandling classified info, especially Russian influence ops, now stands accused of the very same sin. This scandal screams questions. How deep does the rot go in the FBI? Can it survive this politically charged firestorm? As of Thursday, March 20th, 2025, the FBI and Justice Department stay silent, leaving us bracing for the next shock as California's federal court takes the reins.
Yeah, but he's not even the tip of the iceberg as far as what's going on in the FBI and the DOJ and the Department of Homeland Security. Not even the tip of the iceberg. You got so many activist agents up in there. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, you're there to do a job, not to fulfill a political crusade. You're there to do a job. You're there to do a job. But they got all of those people now. They're now taking lie detector. Well, they've reinstituted having them take lie detector tests to help weed them out, which is a good thing because they got to go. That's the only way you're going to clean them out. You have to get them with the lie detector test. This is why I was saying they ran the ad during the Super Bowl. Secret Service is hiring. So it looks like the FBI is going to be hiring. Department of Homeland Security is going to be hiring. The DOJ is going to be hiring. For those of you who are former military, former police, whatever, or current, I'll be dusting off my resume. I'll be dusting off my resume. Well, I guess I'll see y'all Sunday. Y'all be safe. Let me get out of here. This juice is running right through me.
Okay, I believe that is an L. It is, in fact, an L. You believe 6 hours ago I couldn't even read a stop sign? All right, test me again. I want to go smaller. Smaller. All right.
Great work, Rob. Great work. See if you can read this. You're fired. And in case your ears are fucked, get the fuck out! And the next person I see juggling, tap dancing, or baton twirling, or doing any other circus-like tricks will join him, all right? One strike policy applies. Now get back to work. God damn, that felt good.